Morning chaps, welcome to the channel. Good news, we're off bass fishing and I think we've a good shot, truth be told. I'm going to head for kind of a semi-deep water mark, to be honest. I think the bass are there. They're not going to be chasing bait up and down the beach and stuff. They'll just be sitting. They'll be sitting in the kelpie stuff. They'll be hanging about. They won't be super active. Temperature is still pretty low. I could march into the estuary, but it's a hell of a long walk where I'm not convinced. You know what I mean? We'll see how it goes today, and we'll take it from there. That's really where it's at. I wanted to talk to you a bit about plastics today, right? And about quality. Now, you can buy something that's made in some fella's garage or whatever, and I'm going to make a few myself, right? And they're good, they work. But are they the quality of the stuff that's being produced in Japan? No, they're not. In fact, they're not even near it. And like, you can see that the minute you open the packet, right? So these days we've got several different types of plastics, right? Which is great, because it means the bass fishing is progressing, it's moving forward. People are thinking outside the box, you know what I mean? I think a lot of the time, the pictures that you see online don't actually do justice to the lure itself, right? So, for example, that there is now my camera is not doing justice, but it will next week once I get my new one in. That's the Maddie 90 in baby bass. I mean, at this time of year, you just won't do better in terms of size and profile. It's just absolutely perfect. If there are sandeel around, that's going to imitate them. Again, similar situation. That's the 1-up shad, 4-inch in fresh cream. Another awesome imitation. Really like the 1-up in Agi, right? So if you notice, I have that on a rolling head, right? And that's a rolling head. That's a 10-gram rolling head. That's because I don't want the lure to do anything. I just want to straight retrieve it, right? What lure head you put on the lure makes a huge difference. So if you put, I'm not sure I have it here with me, but if you put a coyote head on, which is a pointy head, it'll get it to, oh here, I have similar, right? So that head there, the BR head, right? It has a vein in it, right? And it causes the head to dart from side to side, right? And hence the plastic will follow, right? So you'll have a bait that's really moving around quite erratically. Whereas if you have a flat head like that, like a rolling head, right? Or an ulti head is the other head that's the same. The bait is just going to move along nice and steady. Probably a little bit of wobble in it created by the bait itself, right? And then of course the action of the tail, right? Now the reason for that is that I'm fishing today. I'll be fishing along pretty straight gutters. I don't want to be darting from side to side of the gutter. I just want it to run straight down the middle of the gutter, and if there's a fish sitting underneath it, it'll come up and nail it. Another thing I think is that a lot of the times the companies themselves don't do justice to the lures that they're selling, like to just how good the colours are. They put up these pictures. I mean, look at that. That's from Mega Bass. It's a 5-inch spindle worm. So I'm obviously trying to imitate a pollock today or whatever. So that's going to absolutely slay, right? If there's bass about, they'll have that for sure. But it's not the only tactic we're going to use today, right? Because there was this kind of myth that, oh, you only surface fished in the summer or whatever. It's absolute nonsense. I mean, I don't know who came up with that or where it came from, or, it's too early to surface fish, or I have no idea. There's absolutely no reason on God's good earth that a fish wouldn't take a bait off the surface now. It's less likely to take one off the surface now than they are in June or July, right? So I know a lot of fellas like the 100 mil, but I like to fish big, right? I'm a big believer in big bait, big fish. I know it sounds quite a simple kind of concept, but like most things in fishing, I find really actually the truth is quite simple. People want stuff to be very complicated and tricky and everything else, but it's not actually. It's quite simple. Big bass are really, really lazy, and you have to find something that makes it worth their while to come up. So I have a few poppers with me today, but that's one of my favourite ones, right? So that's Ghost Lacan in the 120 feed popper. Okay, so I'm bringing that with me, which is the Secret Awashi 130. I mean, just beautiful bait, right? I'll also be bringing it in yellowback. Now, essentially, the fish don't see the yellowback, you do, right? And that's why I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it for my benefit because I'm fishing the H5 too heavy, so that lure will go quite a distance, and I want to be able to make sure if I'm really hitting it, I want to be able to be sure I can see it. And then I'll be bringing its smaller cousin, that's the Asturi 110. Now I think that's the size that's going to suit a lot of fellas a lot better. I think they're going to feel more comfortable fishing that, but that's it in 500G. I mean, look at that. It's one of the nicest top water lures I've ever seen. Certainly one of the easiest control, one of the most versatile. They're an extraordinary company. So this side of the box, if you look over, you're not going to find any shockers here. I have our old favourite light whacker, right? Dead claw with the feed shallow and red belly sardine. We have the feed shallow in Waxahachie, right? So I don't know why, but the feed shallow seems to have lost popularity for some reason, and it's an absolutely killer lure. Now the thing is, you don't want to do anything with it. It's a straight retrieve lure, right? So you cast that lure. This is mostly for beginners. Now, lads, if you're experts, like, bear with me. Like, there's lads out there who don't know, they haven't fished very much, and they're trying to get into the sport, right? So if you're on a budget and you need to buy yourself a subsurface lure, that's the lure to buy, right? Buy it in any of the really standard colours like white or candy or Waxahachie or sardine, right? And just cast it and retrieve. By all means, put a pause in your retrieve, but just not twitching it around or messing with it or anything. The bait has a lovely action all of its own. You just point the tip down, put the tip down, and wind the handle. That's it. And that bait will just fish lovely right on the top of the water. I mean, when we got those, oh, God rest from Trevor, we got them off Mick. Mick from Jersey brought them over on a trip to Ireland, fair play to him. We were all younger men back then. And Trevor, his great friend Trevor was with him. And Trevor got his first fish on the feed shallow, and that was it. He just fished the feed shallow. I mean, solid. The one lure never came off all weekend. And just he must have had 60 bass. He just kept fishing and fishing and fishing and fishing it. I mean, he fished it everywhere. He fished it off the rocks. He fished it in the estuary. He fished it in the mouth of the estuary. He fished it on the sandbar. I mean, you name it. The one thing you'd be certain of was Trevor was casting a feed shallow. So, I mean, I don't know why it has kind of died off a bit in popularity, but it seems to have. And lads are making a mistake because it's a reasonably priced lure that fishes incredibly well. But yeah, rest in peace, Trevor. You were a character, man. You really were. You lived large, brother. So that's just another bait I'll be bringing with me. I've been bringing that bait with me in a bunch of colours, to be honest with you. The Maddie 90 this time of year, I think it's hard to beat, really is. And that's on the Ultimate Evo head, right? So it comes in a 10 and a 14 gram version, which gives it just that bit of castability that I'm looking for, and I can keep it up off the bottom by using the rod tip, etc. I'll be fishing quite a few of those as well, little one-up shots in the 4-inch. I just think that this time of year, you can go small, tends to work a bit better. A lot of the bait fish are very small and stuff. And of course, I'd obviously be fishing these lads, right? I'd be throwing a bit of scent onto those as well. Now, where I'm going, these are tough to fish because it's really, really snaggy. So it's kind of hard to fish them to get them down, you know. If it touches the bottom, chances are it's gone, right? So we'll see if I can find a piece of ground that I can actually fish them over. So in terms of rigging the one-up shad, I mean, you've got loads of options. You know, you can, like, let me show you. If I take 2 baits, right? Now again, lads, this is for beginners, so if you're an expert, you can probably tune out or whatever. Or if you know what you're doing, you can tune out. Like, it's not going to be of any interest to you, right? So that there is one of my favourite ways to fish the one-up shad, right? Just on a weighted offset hook. I much prefer my offsets to be screw fix. I have a bunch of decoys there. I'm going to put them on special because they're not selling. I mean, I think what's happening is there's somebody is undercutting the market or whatever. So obviously people can get them cheaper somewhere else. Well, fair enough, like, whatever. You know, I do this for a living. I have to sell at the recommended retail price. Otherwise my wholesaler cuts me off, right? And this is my bread and butter, so I can't mess around with the price too much. Other lads that do it part-time or whatever, they can do whatever the hell they want, and it seems to be the way of it, but I'm not going to let it bother me too much. It won't affect my custom. That there is the Fantastic from Raid. Now again, just look, I mean, look at the quality of that bait. Look how many joins are in it. There's 1, 2 there, and there's the same back here, right? Like, some fella in a shed is not going to produce that kind of quality. They're just not. Might produce a lure that catches a few fish, but I guarantee you it's not going to be anything like that. And when the fishing is tough, you're going to need that kind of lure. You're going to need a lure that really, really, really works, you know. So that there, absolute superb little lure, right? But sorry, I was saying about one-up shots and how you can rig them. So one of the ways, obviously, is to rig them now like that, right? Is to rig them on the offset hook, okay? Now that, again, that's a different bait. That's fin shad or something from Madness. I don't buy them in to sell in the shop because they're so, well, I wasn't going to buy them in because they're so soft, but now that I've seen them, I might actually get them in because I thought they'd be a one fish bait, but actually I think you'd manage a few bass on that before it was knackered. Um, so that's one way you can rig those, right? But you can also rig them straight onto a jig head, right? So you just line the bait up with the jig head. You get a notion of, okay, so the hook is going to come out around here, right? So you keep that there, you keep your finger there. Oh, but you don't do that, what I just did, which is drop it. And another good idea might be wear your glasses if you need glasses, like I do. And then you just thread it up. And voila, right? You got a perfect little swim bait. Now, I want to talk to you a bit about heads again. I brought in a whole bunch of new heads, and I brought in some heavier heads for the surf fishermen. Because a lot of the heads you see are kind of 10, 15 grams, and there's times that 10, 15 grams isn't going to cut it for me. I need 20, 25 grams to get out in amongst those waves and what have you. So I just thought I'd give you a little look this morning at what I was bringing in my boxes, you know. Primarily I'd be relying on the spindle worms and the one-up shads. I've been running those, a lot of those on weedless hooks over the gutters. I always carry a box, you know, like so, right? So